Good morning. Hey, little tree sap, how's it going? We're still getting started. I'm getting things together. Oh, that might have been loud. Oh, ma. Oh, gosh. Oh, hold on. Come here, come here, come here, come here. Come here. Sorry, guys. Ma jumped. Why did you do that? Oh, my goodness. All right. Are you okay, baby? Yeah, okay. Good grief. You better go sit down, honey. I'll be right back. Come on. Jeez. Okay. Good morning. Oh my goodness. So, Ma Petite is not allowed up here anymore. I created her a little spot so that she could kind of be up here with me, and she decided just now to take a jump. And that was too much for her. And for me. Let's get some of this stuff going. As you can see, it's just me today. Brad had to work. Yeah. He had to run in. I cannot believe this dog still wants to get up. No, ma'am. You are staying down there. We're not doing that again. You cracked your head, honey. So it's just me today. So it'll probably be a little bit shorter. And let me know if I'm too loud too, because now I'm right in front of the mic instead of my normal spot. But gonna get a few things set up. It's very hot in here. Turn the air down. Got some good things, some fun things to kind of go on the show today. I'm trying to get all my stuff together. There we go. So I can see chat. All right, so yeah, let me know if it gets too loud or if I spark out too high there. But I have a lot of stuff I really wanted to cover today, and I forgot that he wasn't going to be here, so, you know, I figured we'd get started, get everything moving as quick as possible because, yeah, that is what it is. If you like the background music, this is kind of something I really enjoy. This is called White Bat, and, where did she go? Sorry, I want to keep an eye on Ma since she hit her head. She had a fall and I need to update her care plan. But anyway, so yeah, we'll get started in a minute. I'm going to talk a little bit about books. I've got 2 books I want to talk about today. One of them I added, well, it's been on my reading list, but I'm going to bump it up quite a bit. Because it's kind of maybe my 7th or 8th book on the list. Now it's my next book. Made some movement in a couple of them, so kind of excited to do all that and get those things rolling. And then we'll see where that goes. So let me turn this down a little bit. I do want to call corner. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll get rolling here. Oh, and before. Thanks to a good friend in our Cubs group, I have now been truly introduced. I had it, but I actually am using it now. Tulsi tea, loose leaf tea with a little bit of anything else you can kind of make a flavor to it. It's so good, and hopefully will be helping me get my health back into shape a little bit. So Tulsi tea, a little bit of ginger actually. So, all right. So I will go ahead and start with the corners then, and we'll get started. Hear me, friends and ancestors from the east. Hear my voice carried on the air of clarity and truth. Watch over us as we cast our circle of safety and love. See me, friends and ancestors from the south. See my flame of passion and creation seared into the energy of the universe. Watch over us as we cast our circle of limitless possibility. Feel me, friends and ancestors from the west. Feel my love, fear, sadness, and joy washed into the waters of the rivers of compassion. Watch over us as we cast our circle of connection and motion. Reach me, friends and ancestors from the north. Reach my feet and hands, the earth in my toes, and the work of my fingers. Watch over us as we cast our circle of strength and grounding. Know me, friends and ancestors from the ether. Know my intent, know my heart, and know my spirit. Watch over us as we ask you all to join us in perfect love and perfect trust. Hear, see, feel, and know that the circle is safe, the circle is sacred, and the circle is cast. All right. So, how's everybody doing? Everybody having a good day today? I hope so. I'm going to do one more quick check. Whoop, Benny. Just one quick check. I shall return in seconds. The worst feeling in the world is when one of your babies gets hurt, especially if it's your fault. And that was definitely my fault. No, man, you're staying down there, but I want to keep an eye on you. That was a hard bonk. You stay. So, obviously it's going to be just me, so it'll be a little quicker today, I think. So, I guess first I wanted to kind of talk about exciting personal news where, with my dad passing, and, I think a lot of us probably do get a feeling or a jolt of mortality vision when a family member passes, especially a parent, or when something like that happens and it kind of reminds you of your own mortality and things that you can do. And it sparked me a little bit into getting in better shape and trying to eat and do things a little bit better. So I know I'm borderline diabetic, so started checking my blood sugars, and I was averaging in the 300s, which if you're not clinical or nursing, that's really bad, really bad. Within just a week of, well, actually now going on 2 weeks of improved eating and kind of watching what I do, switching from coffee to tea, kind of cutting down on a lot of things, lost 10 pounds. So super excited about that. And also my blood sugars are now averaging 160, so cut in half. It's simply from just paying a little more attention, eating a little bit better. So I'm very excited about that. Hopefully that can continue. I've done it before. It kind of cycles in, but I'm going to hold on to it longer this time because I need to pay attention to my health. And yes, Dragon Dancer, I need to get her little safety harness. This house has been full of animal injuries lately, so I will go ahead and tell you now, Dragon Dancer, I owe you a glass baking loaf pan. Our wonderful VG, who we usually take every time we go, we take her to the daycare. Well, yesterday after the meeting at Cups, we came home. We had her at the place. We brought her back with us. We went out for a motorcycle ride. Came back an hour later, and that glass was shredded on the floor, and there was blood all over the house. So I apologize. VG decided to pull it out to get the leftovers, cracked it, and then continued to lick the container. Everybody's fine, but I need to get you a new piece. So just so you know, I'm going to have to do that. Anyway, so there have been nuts. We're watching them just to make sure they didn't need any glass, but she cut her tongue, which is fine now. But anyway, I'm telling you, it's been a thing. Ma Petite won't let you go, and she scratches your leg until you pick her up. But yes, she's getting a harness that I'm going to be able to lock her to me if we put her back up here, because it's just too high to be safe. She hits her head a lot. She jumped off the bed not too long ago and bonked her head, and she squeals, and it's the worst sound in the world. Oh my God. It's just, I hate that sound. But yes, everybody's okay. I was so mad. There was like the rim of the bread, like where it was really sweet, I guess, and baked on. She just decided it was hers. I literally looked at it and said, nah, she's not going to get that off the counter. She did. But I will get you a pan. She's fine. At least we think she's got diarrhea really bad, because there was a good section, probably about an inch of bread left with the sweet stuff on top. So, but anyway, we've had a lot of dogs being dogs lately, and whenever we talked about it yesterday, me and Brad, we were like, you know what, dogs will be dogs, but we have to be better dog parents, which means we need to pay a little more attention and make sure that we do things safer around our house. So that's going to be kind of our thing the next week, is really, cleaning up a little bit. So welcome in, everybody. I forgot to say that. Little Tree Sap, it's great to see you. Susie, Dragon Dancer, thank you. Good morning. Hi, Paranormal. Excited again, just me today. Brad's at work, so lots of things have been happening, though. New position started last Tuesday, so I'm doing something different now within the same organization, very similar. But my phone hasn't rang all weekend. Oh, God. Sorry. I knocked on wood. Nobody's at the door, y'all. Tina, nobody's there. That was me. Hey! They're so funny. Dogs are going to dog. They will. Yeah, but we can do things a little bit safer. A little bit better. Nobody's there. Promise, guys. Nobody's there. It was me. See? I've got to learn, too. But anyway, so my energy's back. My hot flashes are pretty much gone. Like I said, I lost 10 pounds. I feel better. And it's literally... and I know this sounds so easy, and it's all been my whole life, but it is portion control. And so we're cooking only what we need versus like what we think we need. So doing a lot better with that. But anyway, I know I'm jumping all over, but I'm kind of excited, and I don't have Brad to keep me on track here. So it's going to be a fun hour. We have not had a whole lot of time to read. So I know he is still working on Werewolf Magic, Authentic Practical Lycanthropy, and I am still on Expanse 2, the second book in the novels. I am almost to the end, ready to start the third, but then I got wrapped back into another book that I've been reading and a second book that I added that's getting put to the front really fast. That's the one I wanted to talk about, though, first, is the Four Elements of the Wise. So, the Four Elements of the Wise is pretty cool. Good book. I think a couple of you have read it, and one of the things I like about it, I don't know if it'll show the whole book in here. I think I've got it too zoomed in, but let's see. There's my beer for later, since I'm not opening a whole thing of. Yeah, it's a little hard to see, but it's the Four Elements of the Wise by Ivo Dominguez Jr. Ma's feeling just fine. She's running around doing her normal. And this book is we've talked about it quite a bit. I've been reading it for a long time because I don't make but like 10 pages at a time. You see, I'm still in the beginning. But it is giving me a whole new pathway, a whole new idea on something that I thought I knew everything I need to know. My personal practice has been and will continue to be, I think, probably, regardless of whether I get into different aspects of it. Like I'm still very interested in dragon aspect, and I've been reading those books about that as well and talking to a few people. But in truth, all the things for me can kind of be traced back to the elements, which I really like. And so it's got a lot of really good information, and it's packed in pretty hard. So you read a chapter of like 8 pages, and it's like, it's a lot to digest. I like to think about and really internalize the stuff that I read. But I did want to point out one thing in this book. And if you had the book, it's on page 30. But I wanted to talk about this because we've seen these. Most of us have seen these before, I think, right? These symbols. That's just a couple of them. The triangles, right? And one of the things I wanted to point out is symbology and how symbolism, I don't even know if symbology is a word, but how symbolism is really important to what we do, because it kind of gives us that pathway to associate with something when maybe we can't understand the full breadth of it, but that it represents the full breadth of it. For example, the aces in the tarot for me are the full embodiment. They're the base symbol. So it's the easiest to understand, but it also brings the most complex things along with it that you need to think about and understand. So it is forever changing. But anyway, so we've got different triangles, and I meant to bring them up from the symbolism. And I'm taking this directly from Ivo Dominguez's book. This is his work, his research that has put all this in place for me. So, and I'm just learning an amazing amount for it. You really should, if you have the ability to get this book, you should, especially if you're interested in elementals. So a triangle facing north or facing up is fire, and the triangle facing down is water. And that is because facing up, fire's nature. And think about, we talk about element of fire, we think of a fire, an element of water, we think of water. But that's really not what the element is. That is the thing that most closely symbolizes it that we can understand. So that energy of things that rise, because fire likes to rise, that's the upward facing triangle. The downward facing triangle is water, because water likes to do what? It likes to flow down or go down. It seeks out into crevices underneath. Fire doesn't. Fire explodes up and it goes out and spreads, you know. And again, earth, triangle pointing downwards. That is the water that goes down. So the energy, I know, it's funny. I love Boondock Saints, by the way. But that downward is because the nature of water is to descend. So when you overlap them and put them together, and that's this one down here, if you can see, oh shit, I've turned it off. Sorry, let me turn this back on. If you look at this one down here, not the Star of David, that is when you put the upward and downward triangles of fire and water together. And then you get, with that, these two symbols, if you take them out. I'm trying to get it all in there. There you go. That is air and earth. So air is the child of fire and water that inherited more qualities of fire than water. And earth is the child of water and fire that inherited more qualities of water than fire. Because earth compresses and crystallizes, air expands and distributes. So if you think about it from an aspect of where we can kind of understand, I wanted to point out mostly the symbols, that they represent things that we can't necessarily always have a word for or express. And this is true for a lot of things in our lives. We use a lot of symbols. Magic is the same way. And again, when we talk about magic, I'm not talking about tricks, and I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the energy of us using the energy that we contain as part of the universe to make things happen, which comes along with your actions. But these symbols can help you kind of remember things or do things, right? So for me, one of the things that I'm using to kind of help with the energy and the magic of losing weight or getting in better health is I am a very earth person. I am a Virgo sun, Virgo moon, and Taurus rising. So I've got a lot of earth right in the beginning of my charts. And as such, I do fit those very well. I am very consistent. I like to be stable. I like to be organized. I like to be planted. Well, because of that, I'm very planted. I'm very heavy. And Virgos tend to have GI issues. That's a big thing, but that's our area. I get overplanted, over heavy. I get too heavy. So what do I need to look for to kind of bring me up out of it? Well, if Earth is the child of fire and water, right? Then air is what I probably need to think more of or bring more of into my life. And I did that in ritual. So bringing more air in is more thought. It's the idea to pause before I make food and decide what I get. Like the other day I went into the kitchen. I'm like, I'm really hungry. Let me grab, some potato chips. And I pulled out air and said, okay, air is thought, air is ideas. It's smart. It's being intuitive. Let me have a pickle instead. So I ate a pickle instead. Satisfied my hunger. It is almost 0 calories. It's much healthier. And no carbohydrates, which is helping my blood sugars go down. But you can see kind of like using the symbols and things can be very helpful when it comes to kind of addressing your own ideas or your own ways and things of doing it. So that's why I wanted to bring up the symbols from that book. I am going to sit after this and read quite a bit because I want to catch up and get ahead in this book and kind of learn some new things. I want to grow in it. But also, Brad's not going to be back till after 2 o'clock, from which we are then going to go to the store to get things for April 8th, which is exciting to go with you, Dragon Dancer. I'm really excited about that. So that'll be fun. By the way, that's going to the shooting range, I should say. So that's symbols, right? Um, Very important, I think, to utilize symbols that help us. We do it all the time. Our stop signs on the road are symbols. The stop lights are symbols. Yields are symbols. We have symbols at work. We have symbols everywhere, and we kind of take them for granted that they just mean one thing. But that stop sign doesn't just mean stop if you think about it on kind of like an existential further way, right? It reminds you to stop, but it also creates a cycle of people going and stopping. It creates safety by allowing us to be aware of our surroundings more. We recognize the sign before we recognize the word. So, play with, yes. Yeah, I have a boomstick somewhere too. I'm just kidding. I do, but bad jokes. I'm good. I'm all about them. Anywho, shadow work. We honestly haven't been doing anything with that because we've been enjoying the motorcycles. Podcraft. We did get a whole section of our garage kind of set up in a good format, and we've moved a lot of things to our storage unit, so we have a lot more space. We do not have a camera set up just yet, but we plan on it. Hi, Finn. Ma, you need to rest. So we will hopefully have a podcast craft set up here soon. Now, of course, as the summer goes on, if we do crafts here or at the UU, if those of us that are okay with it, we probably will keep it here just because it's safer. We will go live on live streaming for that and for cooking. Cooking does keep getting put off because their life has been crazy. There's so much going on with everybody. Finding a good time is a little difficult, but that is coming very soon. I think one of the interesting things is as we go through the summer, we started our very first live cooking thing or streaming thing with Luna Sa and the Luna Sa bread, or Luz bread, was one of our first things, and then we started from there. So we've almost made it full circle around and plan on doing that again. And then, yeah, so there's that. The other book we're going to talk about in a little bit, though. That's going to be a little bit later. So we just finished, or not finished, but we just moved through the cycle, the turn of the wheel of Ostara, or spring equinox. And one of the things that I really would like to point out about what I just said, I almost said that we're past it, but while we may be past the actual spring equinox and the celebration of it, the time is still amongst us. We are still in that era and that time, that energy of spring equinox. We had a wonderful Harris Tea party with a much, I want to say, better turnout than I expected, but a very good turnout. I was very happy with that. And hopefully that will grow as an annual thing down here in Fort Myers. So, that's on the list of things. So one of the things we did after, though, is we did a procession. And while the procession was a little haphazard and messy, which things tend to want to be, it was fine. And we did this procession outside in the land where we symbolized bringing the light of the sun into the ground to kind of grow the seeds that we spread at Imbolc. So it's a continuation. It goes forward. It continues on to the different things that happen throughout the turn of the wheel, because it's not separate entities on each section. It is a whole turn. It is a whole wheel that continuously cycles, right? Next up is Beltane. Beltane is generally May 1st, May Day, Maypole Day, May's Day. There's a Gaelic word for it that I screw up every time, cetamine or ketamine. I don't know how to say it. It's not ketamine. That's probably bad. But if Joy hops in, we'll ask her. I can spell it out for you. I wanted to bring up a couple of the Beltane things as we get into Beltane. So Beltane is a huge fire fest. It's one of the 4 fire festivals. There's 4 throughout the year. We have the Lesser and Greater Sabbats. The Greaters are generally the fire festivals. It is mostly of fertility, so I call it the fertility and fire. Fire is the creative spark, right? So fertility is that same thing. It's the union of the energies that creates things and more things, and not just humans, but animals and nature and everything. It's the flower blooming. It's the flower becoming a fruit. All of those things are part of Beltane and fire. For me, Beltane is highly focused around Green Man and Green Woman, or Cornunos, or Herne the Hunter, depending on where you're from, Pan, and the Forest Maiden, or the Green Woman, which is the other energy for me. So I think those things are really important, that it's not one specific way, but it's a thing that we can kind of go through, and kind of work for ourselves based on the energies that we feel at the time. So, um, you know, Beltane is really important to me. It's a big festival. I really enjoy it. I'm going to share a couple of Beltane, whatchamacallits, altar setup ideas. And some of these are probably way bigger than I would do, or more or less. You never know. But, it is a Gaelic May Day festival. Again, like we said, fertility and fire. Sacred to the Fae. So this is a time where we are liminal. The Fae come out. And I know we think of Fae often as little fairies that kind of float around and little sprightly things. But no, Fae is a whole realm. It is a whole thing. It is a big conglomerate of beings that represent all these things around us, right? So bright colors, reds, pinks, blues, yellows, really big. Daffodils are a big thing this time of year, right? So that's important. The color of the peacock, thinking of the male presenting all of the bright colors to the female entity to try to continue procreation, right? So in this altar, this looks like a store display to me. This is a little hefty. It's gorgeous, but it's too much for me. Like, I wouldn't be able to come up with something that pretty in my head. This was just a stock photo that I liked for Beltane that had the flowers, a little bit of the, you see a wreath in the background. So circles represent the goddess, and rods represent the gods. So if you think of the fertility rites, those are two things you can use to represent if you want. This is another one that is really pretty. I love that green altar cloth. I actually have that one. But you see a Cernunnos statue in the back. That's quite similar to the one that I had commissioned for me, which I need to commission his consort soon. But really excited about that, because that is kind of an idea there. You see the chalices also can represent the feminine, the goddess, the womb. You have your candles there, and then lots of green and lots of early flowers. So those, also another really pretty one. We got this one. This one, to me, it's listed as a Beltane. I don't know, though. Maybe this is something, to me, this speaks a little bit closer to, like, Lunasa. But it is still the flowers. It's still the bright, the growth of the early spring, where we are. So it's fine. I'm not here to judge anybody else's idea. That's why I wanted to bring this up, because if this speaks Beltane to you, this is Beltane. And it may speak to everybody as Beltane and just not me. But yeah, I see this as a little bit more summery, but I still think it's beautiful. And then this last one, which I thought was nice because it is very simple. You got your flowers, you've got a red candle, fire festival, right? So this represents that fire and the rod. You've got containers of water and gourds, which represent the womb. Fruit is a great representation for the feminine and the procreation, truly. Honestly, don't know what that is. It's kind of like a ginger root or some kind of root. And these fruits, it looks like an orange or tangerine, almost maybe an unripe pomegranate. I can't see what's in the back there. Huge lemon or grapefruit right there, probably a grapefruit. But you've got all of these things, and it just is showing the growth and the expansion. So really enjoyed this one. It was one of the ones I thought was really pretty. So as you can see, there's lots of different things that you can do to kind of work through a Beltane altar. Maypole, huge thing, right? So we can talk about this. Now remember, we'll talk every week up to Beltane a little bit more about Beltane. So we'll talk more about the history of the Maypole, at least where we think the Maypole came from. And other ways to celebrate if that is not your alley. If you don't feel that is appropriate or necessary and you don't want to do Maypole, there's many other ways you can celebrate, and we'll talk about that in the future. So, I'm used to having a break, breathing, where somebody else steps in. Hi, Joy. We were just talking about you. We just went through a little bit of Beltane and talking about the what I found online anyway. I don't know how true it is because, not everything online is true. But the Gaelic, it's Cetamain, Cetamine or ketamine, but wasn't sure if you had heard of that or if that was something you were familiar with. I know you are a little bit more on the Welsh part, but I just thought you definitely speak these words and I can't. I wish you were here to hear you. But So we have lots of those things coming on as ideas with Beltane, and that's upcoming every week again. We'll kind of add a little bit more to our discussion and go from there. So actually, you know what? I do feel like we're burning a little bit of our old Imbolc blend, and it's empty, but I think I have more. This is one of my favorite things to do, is make these blends. If you have herbs and the ability to do it, it's very nice. It's very fun to kind of express that way. And I don't know if anybody noticed, we have a new tablecloth finally. Since, you know, somebody else burnt through the other one a year ago. Oh yeah? I need to look that up then. Another great Omnia. Guys, when you make these blends of herbs to burn, after they sit for a while, oh my god, it just changes so beautifully. Oh, tootin' horns here. I'm going to do a quick rundown on our sun phase and moon phase, and then I'm going to get into my topic because it's already 11:30. Sun phase, we're currently in Aries. This is the first sign of the zodiac, so as a cycle, we see it as the first, but it is still a continuation, right? We'll be here until April 20th. Good day, by the way. This is a cardinal fire ruled by Mars. Energy that comes along with Aries, the ram, right? It's masculine. I don't really like the terms feminine and masculine when it comes to this. I like how they do the nature of it, which is hot and dry. And bright red colors, you know, ruby is a gemstone for Aries, coral and diamond also, and metals such as iron, steel, and my favorite metal ever, period, which is copper. So right now, with the way things are going, you know, we're in Pisces. This is that fiery cardinal action, do, make it happen, go, go, go kind of energy. We're going to kind of see how this is going to go in with our moon forecast, right? So we'll put those together. We're currently waxing crescent, 25% illuminated. Moon is in Gemini, so do that with that what you will. Fire and air are not great fits sometimes. So today and tomorrow, Monday, beginning of our week, we're in fire and air. So you think about the sun being in this expansive fire time, right? In spring, makes sense. On top of our moon being air, which is this thoughtful, intuitive, headstrong action, mind action. We have a lot of fire and heat going on, right? So a tendency to spin up major firestorms in our energy. So today and tomorrow, be careful. Like me, super hyper. Things can spin out of control with misunderstandings really fast when you put fire on top of air. So just make sure that we allow our creativity to explode, allow our enjoyment to explode, but pay attention that we don't burn people around us, because that is something that we can do. And if you are an Aries or a fire sign, then you have even more of a chance of doing that. Middle of the week this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're in moon is in Cancer, so we have again sun, fire, moon is in Cancer. Yeah, it is in Cancer, but water, moon and water. And those things obviously tend to, you know, water can throw fire out, can put it out easily. And fire can vaporize water into another being. It can transform water completely. So thinking about that energy you're going to see midweek, we might start getting a little bit too hard into our feelings about these things, and a tendency to get really big. I think relationships this week may take a hit. So if you're having some relationship trouble, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is not the day to argue. It's not the day to pick a fight. It's not the day to try to figure it out. It's just a day to let things go, let the energy fall. This will pass. It'll be rocky, but it will pass. Save the energy. Keep your head clear. Fiji got a little close to Tina. Tina didn't like it, if you heard that. Friday, Saturday, we're in Leo. This is like a fire. So this is actually a really good time. Usually when we get this double energy, it's like things are going to explode, but not this time. This is really a positive explosion, a positive movement of Friday and Saturday of everything that is your creativity, your energy. You're going to feel inspired. This is bringing your muses, and just really work it up with the fire and let it go, because when we hit Sunday, Monday, we're going to go into Virgo. And Virgo is really going to pull fire back and start balancing it out, because, you know, throw dirt on a fire, you can put it out. But fire can also burn the trees growing in the land. So we really want to look at that energy of allowing Virgo and the earth to kind of pull us back down after this rough week we're going to have. Not rough, this energetic week we're going to have. And this will kind of help lower that energy a little bit. So I think that's kind of the thing we need to pay attention to this week, which I think will be really great. So with that, lots of energy this week, yes. And this is obviously just a base, like a very, very quick thing that I do every week to kind of see how my week is going to go. It very much helps me to also know my personal leanings. I'm Virgo, so I'm really earth. I've got a lot of earth in me, and so I really like to pull and hold things down for some reason. So I know that all of the energies kind of can get muted to the point where they're just dull. So I got to work at that and make decisions to change that at times. I forgot, I do have 2 articles that I wanted to talk about too. Again, without Rook here, it's hard to keep on track. But I read 2 articles today, and they kind of made me think about it. One of them is about spiders, because, I have a thing with spiders. So I want to kind of go through that and just kind of point out what I read and kind of what it is. It's ecologically based. I'm telling you, Tulsi tea is amazing. So my topic this week, there are 2, my 2 things I wanted to talk about are black widows, brown widows, and ocean floor heat waves. So this is our news topic. I accidentally skipped it in the beginning. I want to hit it before I go into this, talking about this amazing book that I've had to move up to the front of my list that was kind of down a ways. And please don't excuse my beer. I have to have at least one, but I didn't want to open champagne without Mr. Rookie here. So we'll settle for a light sky. So black widows. For me, spiders are a thing I have a problem with as far as like out in nature. They scare me. I'm afraid of them. I have been doing much better over the last year, kind of working through that. But black widows can be dangerous. And as this time of year, I mean, in Florida, they stay active all year, but this time of year, it gets really warm in the northern area, or, pretty much all of U.S., and we see more activity with spiders. They're coming around a bit more. They're being available a bit more. And yes, paranormal, that is true. They generally kill their mate, and their mate, I'm sure he's not super okay with it, but ultimately he provides a meal for her if she needs it to nourish their kids. So he knows that it's more important for him to give his life to feed mama spider. But they have a pretty bad rep because, they have a venom, which, if you didn't know, venom is injected, poison is eaten. So poison goes through your body and it absorbs in through your system. It can be breathed in, it can be eaten, it can be absorbed through the skin, but that's poison. Venom is injected from something, like an animal, from a snake, from a spider. So that's the difference, if you've ever wondered. But they have a pretty bad rep because of their venom. It can cause lots of issues. Priapism, one. Let's just call that an extended maypole. But they also can cause significant heart issues, cramping, stomach issues, very rarely death. And I don't know the statistics, but I know children and elderly are at most risk, right? But the majority of black widow bites, I know they don't cause death, if any. I'm not sure, but it's not fun. That's for sure. Now, black widows are native to the U.S., so they're normal. They're here. They've been here. And unfortunately, there's another type of widow called the brown widow, which is actually a little bit more dangerous because it is now here, it's invasive, and it's taking over the black widow population. In the news article, everywhere black widows were found, when they start seeing brown widows move in, the black widows are gone. And now they both have the similar venom, they both have the similar things. Brown widows are a little more aggressive, but overall, they don't like to attack, they like to retreat. So if you see a spider, leave it alone. It's not necessary to mess with it. We have some spiders in the corners. As long as they're not dangerous, I usually will look them up. I'll leave them. But brown recluse actually is, I think, the most dangerous spider we have in the U.S. right now. That if I'm not mistaken. But again, even those don't really kill a whole lot of people, which is a good thing. But yeah, that is true too. Dragon Dancer, thank you for that. The secondary infection. Same thing with brown recluses, by the way. So brown recluses, they don't really like to use their venom because it's hard to make for them, and they need it for their food. So what gets you, and this is similar in other bites too, including dog bites, it's that secondary infection from their saliva and from all the other things that are around that tend to get us. Now, going back to this whole black widow, brown widow thing, it kind of seems like, okay, so what? The invasive brown widow, super incredibly similar, is in here, and now it's killing the black widows, right? spider populations are actually on the decline in general. So the black widow doesn't need any help, being eaten and taken out of this world. The problem is they really do keep our pest under control, right? So it's really, when you think about it, coming in and replacing might not sound so bad, which is what this article was really about. But ultimately, it represents the change in the ecology and the change in the world that is being created through global warming that's allowing these changes to happen, and global travel for that matter. So while it might not seem too bad that one nasty little recluse is widow is taking over another widow, it's not a native species. I know Joy talks a lot about native plants and making sure, working with that. It's the same for animals. We really should be trying to focus on our native species and keeping those there. And you know what? I may not like the black widow, because I don't want to be bitten, but black widow belongs here as much as I do. If not, well, probably a lot more than I do, actually. So that being said, the point is the change in biology and ecology could have a lot bigger impacts, and they're being studied, and we're seeing this all over the world. So I am trying really hard to love spiders more. I love the story of Grandma Spider, which we're coming back around to that time again too. Rook and I have not been putting out videos that we used to put out because we've been doing other things with our time, and of course he's been working a lot more lately. But that is a great story that we'll bring up sometime. I have a whole thing on Grandmother Spider. Sorry. I do have a traumatic experience with many spiders at one time, which is one of the reasons why I freak out a little bit if there's more than one. But I am doing better. So yeah. I think that would be a really good topic, Dragon Dancer. I don't know as much about it as I should. But even here, we're getting an immense amount of flies, like regular house flies. I've never seen so many in my life, but I see nothing else. Something feels a little wrong. And I don't know if that's just, I don't know, it's not just that, but something feels wrong. And I think we all feel that too. And I wonder how much the hurricane had to do with that. And hopefully that hurricane will help reset some of that thing that's causing it. That would be a good topic. If you ever want help making a video, or if you want to put a video out on our channel, if you want, or if you want us just to help you make it for your channel and we can link it on stuff like that, I would love to do more topics on those things. I just don't know enough about them. But we can help with the video and the audio and all of the, video stuff. The video, putting together the videos and things. Would be more. That's my favorite part. So anyway, we do. Florida, all of the continental U.S. has black widow spiders, as far as I know. A little less sparse in north, like the true north, like Maine and maybe Michigan. But in the summer, yeah, we definitely have them here in Florida. And in Florida, bugs get bigger than anywhere else, so it's exciting. I saw a fly, like a house fly, the other day that was like the size of my thumb. But so, not to bring more doom and gloom about the ecology, that's concerning, but we also will throw on top of it the ocean floor heat waves. I thought this was really neat. It's not a new thing, but it is new to me. There are heat waves at the bottom of the ocean. Now, we may think of a heat wave as 50-degree difference, but it's enough temperature that it's affecting lobster and crab and cod in certain areas. And weather patterns we know are changing, and we know humans are part of that problem. So it's just happening. So we know there's water currents of heat. There's the jet stream and how the water carries currents. And if you've been in the beach, you can tell there's been warm sections where you go through, and it's not just somebody peeing. I promise. Could be, but not normally. So surface spikes cause a lot of damage. Back in 2013 to 2016-ish, we had a North American Pacific coast warming, and we lost over 1 million seabirds because the fish had died off and lost and left the area. But now we're seeing it deep underneath, and it's been there for a while, and it's very concerning because, A, it's bringing in lionfish up further north. Lionfish are a very invasive species. They're quick growing, and they are very venomous. They can kill a human with their long spines on their back, but they also, when you bring in something like that into a new ecosystem that's established, where it's not supposed to be, it's the top predator. It kills everything else off. And then when it kills everything else off, it dies, and then you have nothing left. So, big concern. Either way, like, we have to really be paying attention to the impact that we're having on global warming. I'm a big fan of coral reefs. I have never gone snorkeling. I've never been to a coral reef. That is on my list. I don't want to call it my bucket list anymore, but I've got to do it because it's really, really concerning that they won't be around in future. So we are never going to get, as far as I think right now, we're not going to get in my lifetime to the right place that we need to be to take care of the earth and the world the way we should, but we still have to try to do the right thing by ourselves and as much as we can. If it's as simple as all you can do is create a recycling program, then do that, because you need. It's the least we can do for what the earth provides us, is to try to provide it, damage it as little as possible, right? So yeah, I don't know if anybody has any other comments. Dragon Dancer, I hadn't heard that specifically, but that would be very neat also to kind of look into. It's terrifying that these things are changing, but then, I really do believe there will be a big reset. We got a glimpse of it with Hurricane Ian. It's going to be bigger. Things are going to get to the point where there will be a massive reset. I'm also truly concerned for some potential, nuclear war is going to happen. I'm not going to get into that because that's not for here. But it's really sad that you have to kind of manage through that, and it makes me sad. It really does. Yeah, now I'm sad. We need to do better. I know there's controversy like with solar and stuff like that, but we had solar installed in our house. I know there's a lot of precious metals and manufacturing that can be dangerous in that, which is one of the reasons we chose not to get the battery that goes with it, because they're just not valuable enough long term to utilize. But we do have solar on our house, so at least we're trying to we're about breaking even. We put back on the grid about as much as we take, so hopefully that's one house less that's burning fossil fuels. Not everybody can do that, so it's whatever you can do, truly. I think that's one of the things we'll talk about more in the future, and hopefully have some guests that I know nobody's come to the house to be on the podcast in quite a while. I think because so much has been going on. Hopefully that'll calm down a bit, but getting back in and having some people over so we can have these conversations, or maybe doing a separate conversation about that. So yeah, it's important, I think, that we have more of those conversations and those topics as they come up. I would like to have more discussion about them, like conservation. Joy, I think a really wonderful topic that Joy can bring to us often is the importance of staying native. Which is always something that she reminds us of. That's big. It'd be time. Yes. Rook and I have toyed with some other ideas too about doing interviews and bringing things in and doing like a tabletop conversation around this table where we talk about those things, maybe separate from the Sunday service as part of the after talk or after discussions, which I think could be very fun. But we want to get more engaged. So with that, I do want to switch subjects. It's 15 minutes until tarot. And I guess Brad not being here does not let me talk less. I talk more. So go figure. But I wanted to talk about something that has come up very recently and has really imparted in me my lack of, even though I think I'm a pretty good leader. Like, I'm a good leader at work. I feel like that's one of my callings, is to group with people and kind of take control and lead things. I'm pretty good at it. But I've had some missteps recently, both in professional and personal life. So I've had this book for a while. Joy, I know you have. I'm going to move it through here so you can see the whole name. It's called The Empowerment Manual by Starhawk. I can't zoom out because it'll mess up for later. But guys, The Empowerment Manual by Starhawk. This book has been moved back to the front and really come up as being very important. Thank you, Dragon Dancer. I see that. So put that in the Discord. Yeah, I would love to get more engaged in some of those things, and have at least discussions about them, and maybe even invite those individuals to do separate podcasts and events to have conversations about these things, because we need to know more. But the Empowerment Manual. So it's all about collaboration, right? And that life is collaborative. There is very little thing we can do by ourselves. It can be done, of course, and it has been done in the past, but it is difficult. And what I mean is not that you just have to be with people to collaborate, but think about what you eat, what you do, what you move, what you work, what you drive. All of those things required collaboration to create and or exist and or be put together, to grow the food, to, if you eat meat, and then grow, taking care of the animals and providing space for the animals and space for plants. All that stuff requires collaboration. So if you don't collaborate with people, fine. You're still collaborating with the earth. You're collaborating with the plants. You're collaborating with everything. You don't exist without air. So in a sense, I'm collaborating with air and allowing air to be a part of, my everything, my collaboration. And so, no worries, Ziggy. I'm glad you're here. You make it when you can. Like we say, the queen arrives precisely when she is meant to arrive. We're just talking about the Empowerment Manual by Starhawk, a guide for collaborative groups. So, being that we we have a new group, right, with cups. I've got this group, which we hope can grow if we can get a little more consistent with it. I'd like it to be more. I'd like to have a bigger and better reach. But in order to do that, we've got to be more consistent and really understand what's going on. But in our cups, we had a meeting yesterday that went very well. Lots of great discussion, lots of talk. But it brought to the forefront in my mind, what are we going to do when we have significant discord? Because it's going to happen. What are we going to do when somebody gets upset or doesn't like somebody else? Because that's going to happen. We're human beings, right? What are we going to do with each of these things as they come across our lap? And we have to work through them as opposed to just letting them go and ignoring them, because that's what we've done in the past. I'll be the first to admit I'm not doing a great job of this, because I've lost my temper a few times. I've even threatened to quit, which I don't want to do with the Cups group, only because I just allow myself to get really frustrated over the dumbest things. Now, granted, I give myself a break because of all the stuff that's happened in my life recently. I've experienced a lot of loss. But in light of that, the excuse would be that I do nothing to grow. So instead, I picked this book up again out of my list, and I started reading it, and I started pulling a few things out of it. And man, it just pulled me in. Little Tree Sap, glad you could make it. Sorry to see you go so early, but hope to see you again soon. Be in San Antonio in a month, but only for half a night. So I'm gonna look you up. But yeah, so I decided to pick this up and read a few things, and I thought, what can I do personally to do better to kind of collaborate and work within a group, and what was my threat of leaving? That was an overwhelming response that I was able to direct into one thing at one time, and that's where that came from. And so I wanted to look deeper into why I did that and how that came about. And literally, I'm telling you, I just picked up the book and said, look, I need to read this. And so I started reading it, not on my list, and I don't need to add any more books. But one of the things that comes across in this, I want to read to you just a few pieces. It's really good, and it's very helpful. I really want to do a study group with some people if they want to read it or just listen in. I don't know how often or when I'll find time, but I would like some people who have already read it and who are maybe potentially reading it to be involved in that. So I'll put that out in a little bit. Okay. Yeah, you can put them anywhere. There's a link section too, but that's fine. So guys, check out the Discord general and see if those links. I'll move them to the link section so that they can stay permanent and you can find them easier, but we'll leave them there. That's fine. So, we think every time I put my cup down, hey, these guys, I'm sorry for the barking. I put my cup down a little too hard, and they thought somebody was knocking at the door again. That's okay, Mystic Manny. It's early for you, my friend. We were just talking about collaboration and group collaboration and how I need to do better personally in my ability to collaborate and kind of grow from that. So, but I'm super glad you're here. Thanks. And hi, Tabby. I'm glad you made it. Happy Sunday. So we're just getting into this talk about Starhawk's The Empowerment Manual because it came to me just at the right time. I've had it and I'm just like, I saw the book. I'm like, I need it. Pulled it out, read a few things. I'm like, okay, I've got to finish and get through this and really work through the book. So one of the things that I'm going to read about just a little bit, this is kind of like my interpretation of it. So collaboration can be wounding. That is one of the things that she mentions and she says really early on in the book. Being on a well-working team can be a joy. But if you're spinning your wheels, it can be frustrating, enraging, and downright wounding. That is a paraphrase from Starhawk, and I never really thought of it that way. I always think about how can we collaborate better, how can we get along better, how can we solve discord, but then I don't necessarily include that whole idea of it can cause significant harm and hurt. And so a couple weeks ago when I kind of lost my or days ago when I lost my temper and got really aggressive and said certain things, I kind of thought about it as like I could have done that in a better way. But doing that, not feeling sorry, I'm not, it's not something I feel like, you know, how dare I, it's more of, I need to do something with that now. And so it can be very harming. When we are in an intentional community, right? They say intentional communities, or they being Starhawk's research, intentional communities out of 10, only one of those intentional communities will be built and succeed. The rest fail. It can be for a lot of reasons, but mostly it's because of conflict. So we don't manage conflict or deal with conflict in a collaborative, focused way. And so I think that's really important to kind of mention or point out. It's a big thing. And this is a direct quote. For there is one overriding problem with collaborative groups. They are groups of people, and people are damn difficult to get along with. And that is so true. And I think the mindset change is to allow things to get you fired up and hyped up and passionate, but not angry at a person who feels or shares that sentiment, right? So that's kind of the thing I'm trying to adapt to now is when something happens that I don't particularly like or agree with, I generally take the mediative road, meaning I will say, okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that because I don't want to create discord or just, issue. Next time, the phrasing will be a little different. Is like, I disagree, but I understand your right to say it. And I understand your right to believe it and to feel it. So it's valid, but that doesn't mean I'm going to change. And so that's coming a little bit out of this idea of collaboration where everybody has to be able to have that personal ability to decide for themselves what they can and cannot allow. And while me saying that doesn't mean I'm angry or mad at you and can't be your friend, it's just saying, I disagree with that. That's a problem. That's an issue. I don't foresee that being a problem, but that's how I feel, right? So we have to be able to express our feelings and be heard. Doesn't mean anything's going to change, but it needs to be there. And I think that's one of the first lessons that she gave me in collaboration with Starhawk. And granted, I knew this. I've thought about this before. I do it at work, but in my personal life, for some reason, need somebody to tell me. Our goal in groups is to be co-creators and co-conspirators. Letting ourselves be able to fail and vulnerable is extremely important, but also we have to allow others to do the same. Right? So it's really important that we do that. It's very important that we can state our case or say how we feel. People can probe and ask questions about it, but we can move forward into that next thing. So I'm going to probably bring this up for a while until we get something, but even in just the first 10 pages, Starhawk talks about the challenges of collaboration and how collaborative groups are different from other groups. Like for instance, really early on in the book, she talks about how do you define a collaborative group. This, she says, is a group that has all of the following characteristics, if not all of the, most, if not all. Structured, can be like a circle, webs, networks. It's not a pyramid, not a tree. Very important. Work, for me, career is built like a pyramid. Chief Nursing Officer, AVP, Director, Divisional, Regional. Even though our structure is built that way, I have been extremely successful, and I will horn toot as much as possible right now because I do not treat my team as if they are on the pyramid. We are in the circle, the web, the network. I met my team, my new team, for the first time last week, because I'm in a new position. And I think it went a long way to be very clear, like, I am not your boss. Do not call me your boss. I am one of the team that's bringing a new experience. And that is how I want to be perceived. Now I have to make that how I'm perceived by my actions. But that is important. A collaborative group is a group of peers with a horizontal structure working together to create. So we can't take precedence over somebody else's beliefs or thoughts or our own, but we can express when we're uncomfortable, and we can express when somebody else might be uncomfortable, and we can listen and hear, but we have to be horizontal. So you have to be allowed to feel that way. I have to be allowed to feel different. We have to still work together and get along with those differences, right? That's a hard thing to do. I have a feeling this book is going to help me figure that out a little bit better. This is no formal authority. Businesses that run collectively or cooperatively, very important. One of the things that it came up too is that, somebody doesn't have the ability to fire you. I have the ability to fire my team, somebody on my team. I have never terminated somebody unless they did something so egregious that it harmed a person, right? So on my team at work, they know, it's just not my thing. I'm going to find your strengths. I'm going to find your weaknesses. I'm going to use your strengths because they're probably different than mine. And then my weaknesses and your weaknesses, we're going to work on together. As a collaborative group, like something at Cups, we have to have those pockets available for people to do. Major reward may not be the money, but something else. This is fulfillment. That's what our group is about, right? It's fulfillment and growth and getting our paganness out there. That's why we do the podcast. We don't do podcasts because we want people to know, hey, we're pagan. We do the podcast because we want to offer something that you guys enjoy and we enjoy just doing. Few rules, but many norms. So there's very important to understand the difference between a rule and a norm. That's something we can get into later, but that's a big part of group dynamics. It's often ephemeral, for better or for worse. And groups of humans, motives of gain, status, and power will come into play regardless of how you like it. So I can't recommend this book right now because I've only in the first 10 pages, but I am telling you that this to me sounds like something that we could all very much benefit from, even if it's just for our own internal collaboration. So I wanted to bring that up as the main topic today about collaboration because I have had struggles with collaboration recently, and recognizing that I am one of the people that's trying to create a power situation for myself, and I need to get out of that because that's what I'm used to. So, any thoughts before we hop into tarot? Because tarot's going to be fun today. It's just me. If you have not seen the empowerment manual, I'm telling you, it's great. And the 4 Elements of the Wise, same thing. Very excellent book. As we, to me, it is very important to read and learn new things. Even watching videos on YouTube and doing that kind of stuff, it's very, very good to learn. But even more important, you've got to have conversation. We need to talk to each other about what we do. We need to have conversations about what we've learned and thought of and kind of put together. And I think that is very important to the whole process of putting things in that you are learning or that you are doing. So I'll stop talking for just a minute and see if anybody has any other comments or thoughts. That sounds like fun. One of the things we said we wouldn't do on the Sunday service is not bring in special people to do interviews. But I wouldn't be against doing either an elongated discussion about a specific topic or maybe even a completely separate discussion on a specific topic. It is a great book. I really would like to wish I could have seen that, Joy, the Starhawk's host, and have her discussion on that. If those of you that don't know Starhawk, I don't know a lot about her. I think it might not be a bad idea for us to maybe spotlight her and get a little bit more information on one of our shows. We'll put it up. We'll put it up. We'll put it up in Discord too, just in case. Dragon Dancer, we'll have to set something up there. What about getting a group? Because I can work this out probably better on Twitch though. I think I could probably work out a group discussion if anybody would like to do a panel on that one day in the near future. So yeah, when you go to the bookstore, Ziggy, yes, this, and one of the things that I really like about Starhawk writing this, it is not just, I mean, obviously it's what do you call it, occult adjacent. It's related to being pagan and being part of that process. But what I like about it, it's also very intuitive and very it's very researched. It's very based on true principles of group work, and I thought that was very interesting. So, Manny, get a bookshelf. That's something, I mean, I really keeps coming up in my mind. Mystic Manny and Dragon Dancer, since Mystic Manny are so far away. Dude, I can't do it on the Sunday service because I can't make my camera work the way I want. On this laptop, it freezes. It can only do one camera, and it cannot host Discord. It goes nuts when I try to. But yeah, all of us should get on with whoever can come here physically, and Manny, we can Discord you in, and we can do a discussion out on the back patio and televise it or YouTubeize it. That would be fun. I would really love that. So that is awesome. That makes me happy. All right, well, that was my ish for today. So I am sad to not have Rook here to kind of have the discussion with us, because I like it when we do tarot together. Which, by the way, I am going to try to get back into doing my set tarot day. Maybe on Friday. I don't know. I'm going to try to get something back in place because I miss doing that tarot. But I have a treat today for tarot. If you like it. I may not use it all the way, but we'll see. Yes, we have to plan it for sure. So next week, what is this? Next week, we're really booked. Got dogs going to the vet. We've got lots of stuff going on. And then the week after, on Saturday, we're doing whatchamacallit with we're going to the range, right? I think it was Saturday next, the 7th, 8th, 7th, I can't remember the date. We're going to go to the shooting range, which will be fun. So we can plan that. We'll have to get together. I think yeah, absolutely. I'm going to put this card here and see if anybody knows where this is from. Does anybody recognize that card? And yes, if you want to read, let me know. We'll put you in and tell me if you want a specific question or a general. And I'm going to do 3 cards today. The 8th, yeah. Dragon. I'm so excited about that. We got our guns out and cleaned them last night, made sure they were ready. Today, as soon as Rook gets home, we're going to get more ammo so that we'll make sure we're covered there. Paranormal. Joy. Job-related paranormal. Gotcha. Manny. Ziggy. Any comment on the card? I'm gonna flip it over. Actually, you know, let me pull a different card, because I think if I get the right card, you might be able to figure it out. Yeah, this one. Let's see. Anybody have any ideas what deck this is? Tabby will get you a read. Yes, ma'am. Or sir. Or whatever you go by. I shouldn't use either one of those. I apologize. I don't guess. I know we know, but I'm just saying. So just a heads up, Tabby. Okay, got you. Paranormal, we do shoot a lot for practice. We haven't recently, but yes, we practice quite a bit. We used to, and we're trying to get back into that. All right, so make sure I didn't miss anybody. Yes, Mystic Manny, it is Buffy. The Vampire Slayer. That is accurate, sir. So we will be using Buffy, the Vampire Slayer deck. I have Dragon, Paranormal, Joy, Manny, Ziggy, and Tabby. Let me know if I missed anybody. I have a problem, obviously. So, yes, this is the Buffy the Vampire Slayer deck. I am surprised. The card stock is a little thin, but it's really sturdy. It's very flexible. I like it. I very much like it. So, I have not seen it in so long. I honestly was more of an Angel fan, but I do like Buffy. I probably need to rewatch it because it's been so freaking long. But that is Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. And we are going to do some reads from here. Yeah, we'll see some cards. Yeah, I do it too. I'm glad. Thank you. I'm very much do that a lot. I say you guys a lot too. Turn the music up a little bit in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear it. This is, again, well, hopefully still White Bat, because if not, I'm going to get kicked off of YouTube. Not really. Let me just make sure we're still in White Bat, because we might not be. Hold on. Yeah, let's pause that. Let's go back to White Bat. See if we can get a good... Let's go with Epoch. Wolfram and Heart, dude. Oh, yes. I can't tell you how much fun that was when Brad finally figured out Wolfram and Heart. Like, who is Wolfram and Heart? Come on, sir. You can get it. I was a big, oh my God, what's his freaking name? Doyle fan in Angel. And Spike fan. Everybody's a Spike fan. But Doyle and Angel, he was my dude. I was so sad. Yes, Tabby, very much so. All right, Dragon Dancer, you are first on the list, and we just had a jumper, so we are going to pull Jumpy first. Strength. All right. Good card to have in the beginning of a read here. As we know, strength is much of strength is a representation of the major arcana of things that have a kindness and a strength to them, right? One of the things I love about the strength card for me is that it represents how we approach strength. We're not hammer on, slamming a hammer down on somebody to hurt them. We're slamming the hammer down and metaphorically to guide them, or we're not using the hammer to break the iron. We're using the hammer to shape the iron. I always think of the Aesop's Fable with the strength, with the traditional card with the lion and the thorn, of where the lion doesn't, kill the human, which it could easily do because we took the thorn out and they become friends, and they are able to have that strength and bravery to get into to take out the thorn from the lion, but also the strength of creating a relationship or a friendship out of things that probably wouldn't work normally. So in this case, strength means that you're in a time of things that are really solid for you, and you are making things and decisions and actions that you're doing are very strong, and they're very kind in their mannerisms, so they're definitely in a positive motion. I am going to look these up in the book just to see and make sure I have the character right. This is Dawn Summers in this card. I don't remember who Dawn Summers is. Do we know? Anybody know in chat? Shape the Metal, yes. Fred's demon form. Oh, Fred. I love Fred. Fred was amazing. She made me cry a lot. Next we have Le Hermit. Now this one's going to be fun, right? So we're going to add the Hermit to your read. Let me look him up real quick. I just passed him too. That should be 9. So this is Hermit in this card is Oz. So, in a way, The Hermit represents to me, number one, we have a very close to the Hierophant. It's a teaching learning, but it's self-learning and self-growth. So in order to find out the next step, you have to do some self-retreatment, whether it's self-meditation, self-introspection, to kind of come up with where the next step is. So maybe you've got a lot of things going on, you're being very kind and strong about them, and that's guiding you, but there's a next step you need to take. I think this came up last week or a week before. But there's a next step you need to take, and you need to kind of look in to get where that next step is. And then our final card for you, Dragon Dancer, is the Queen of Chalices. So let me look up who that, I don't know. These don't have... oh, yeah, it does. Halfric. Even as a demon, Halfric was deeply attuned to suffering, vulnerability, and sorrow of humanity. So the Queen of Chalices traditionally represents that of the water, right? That of the queen who is of true intuition and understanding. So if this comes up, this means that you have a true understanding of what's going on in your emotional world right now. You understand it. It moves you. It's guiding you to the right place. It is really, really positive in that respect, which is nice, because if we put it alongside the Hermit, it's self-introspection to me that, and I think I've said this before, court cards represent people in our lives to me, but it can represent the Querent, which is you. And in this case, this queen is you, because you're hermiting that queen energy. You're taking that emotional energy in and learning how it's going to guide you to that next step. So I love the Queen of Chalices in this. I just like the imagery in this, and it's weird. I don't normally like these, but that is the read for you, Dragon Dancer. I hope that gave you some information. Again, Strength, the Hermit, and the Queen of Chalices. So we got a lot of things coming, a lot of good, positive, really good stability. Things are in a good place, but there is a new step for you that you've got to take. Nothing big, just the new step, and you have some introspection to do, and your own Queen of Chalices will guide you to that. P-Dubs, you're up next, my dear. So job related, do you have an actual question, or do you just want me to give you a reading about career and job? Just let me know. Once I'm done shuffling, we can go from there. I'm excited. I'm going to try to spend some time this week and next weekend developing my tarot course. Because it is a very beginner course. It's a grand total of 4 or 5 hours worth of instruction, and it is going to be live only, but it can be done remotely. But I will be doing it the first couple ones to get some feedback, to kind of see how things flow, but I'm excited about that. Will you get better at work? You're having a hard time. Okay. We can definitely reach into that and see what's happening. Paranormal Witch, are you going to get better at work? You've been having a hard time. Perhaps it's what do you need to do to get better at work to help you have less of a hard time. So let's go with that, because I like to know what our guidance is, because I can guarantee you if you want to get better, you will. But let's see how tarot can help guide you to doing that. So how can you get better and have less of a difficult time? Let's see what we got here. The Star. Okay. So to me, the Star is a major arcana. You, especially related to work, you need to sit under somebody. You need somebody to give you guidance. You cannot and should not try to do this alone. Right? So the Star comes up when there's a need for guidance, and there's going to be a representation of guidance. The North Star is always there. It's always able to guide you, but you have to know how to follow it or read it, right? If you look up in the night sky and you're like, oh, that's the North Star, a lot of us can find it. Well, if you can't, you got to learn how to do that too. But if you can find it, that still doesn't help you unless you know how to use it to navigate, right? So the same thing is going to happen for you at work. You need somebody that's going to help you navigate it. Doesn't necessarily mean a boss or supervisor. We'll see what the cards say on that. But you definitely need a guiding principle or a guiding person to support you. So if you are trying to do this on your own and you don't want help and you're trying to act like I can do this on my own, I've got to figure it out. You need to ask somebody to give you some guidance. And again, it doesn't have to be a boss. It can be a coworker. It can be somebody else. Your second card is the moon. And I am shuffling these, I swear. I love the moon. So, this is Faith Lahane. In the soft glow of the moon, secrets are revealed, and everyone is just as full of surprises, even you. I like the moon in a tarot reading because the moon says in order to illuminate things, you need to try a different light, right? So when the sun is up, everything is bright. You can see it all. It's right there in front of your face. And we think that that's the best time to see, right? Well, sometimes in order to see what's right there, you need to change the lighting. So that same landscape in the moon light is completely different. So in this, you have your star still saying you need guidance from somebody, but you also need to look at things from a different perspective. You need to illuminate your job differently. You might need to say, okay, what is this one specific thing, this one specific piece that I can do better at in my job, right? So what is that one thing that I could do better? And focus on that. And then say, okay, I'm just going to make something up. You're a carpenter, and every time you make a bookshelf, the shelf is crooked. Well, I need somebody to come in and teach me, what am I doing? Look at this. Look at my shelf. Shine a light on my shelf and see, where am I making the mistake? Because I can't find it. I need your assistance. The star will come in and guide you. And then that person will say, okay, well, here's what I think. You were looking at it all wrong. Let's try it from a different perspective. Instead of putting your nail on the bottom, it needs to go on the top or from the side. So you need to have that guidance, and the moon is there to remind you to illuminate things from a different perspective, a different light, a different point. And your final card, again, shuffling and moving through the deck, is the Empress. So the Empress is really the true feminine form. She represents all things that are Empress related, that are feminine related. So there is a growth potential here. This is telling me that you will get better at your job and you will do fine. You are not going to have a hard time forever, although you do have to go through the hard work to get through it. This is Drusilla. I love Drusilla, by the way. Ew, churches. More beautiful than the stars she's named after, the Empress fills your reading with feminine energy, creative expression, and connection to the natural world. So again, this is telling me that this is something that's positive for you. It's going to be a good thing. You're going to continue to learn, but bring in that energy of needing to be protuberant and needing to be accepting of the things that make you large, like bringing in new information, bringing in new energy, but you've got to allow somebody to kind of show you the way, and you really have to make sure that you're looking at things from a new perspective. Drusilla is amazing. She is her ability to go back and forth between what and where she is needed and adapt is amazing. But the Empress has her shit together. So this is the third card, so you've got it. You'll be fine. Just don't push people away if they're trying to help you because you think you need to figure it out on your own, or you don't want to look stupid. Because if you do that, you probably will end up looking stupid. You've gotta accept help from people and help yourself figure out what it is you want to do better at specifically. Write it down and then ask somebody. Say, hey, I'm having a hard time getting started in this. I'm not able to do X, Y, and Z. How do you do it? What's a better way? Thank you. Absolutely. Joy, you're up next with the universal guidance from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Oh, my books are falling. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You're welcome, Paranormal. I hope it gives you some good insight. You are a wonderful, wonderful person, and you will do just fine. Just don't hold it all in for yourself. I don't even remember, unfortunately, what it is that you're doing right now, but you gotta find somebody, even if it's an informal person, to kind of help you through some of these troubles you're having. Don't keep them to yourself, because people will help you. People want you to succeed. All right, Joy, Miss Joy. The universe has really been stepping in today, let me tell you. Things are going in a way that they need to go. I gotta check on my petite in a little bit too. These are surprisingly easy to shuffle. Miss Joy. Mm. Oh. Okie dokie. Well, this is going to be fun. Joy, this is a lot. This is a lot of energy. We have the Three of Scythes, or Swords, in a traditional deck. As we all know, the traditional meaning for the Three of Swords is what? Heartbreak, right? Some big change is going to have a change or an adaptation to a relationship. Not always a bad thing, though, because sometimes things need to change. I want to see who this is in the picture here, because that might tell us some stuff. Ace, 2, 3. The Scoobies. That's funny. Sorry, I ran into something else while I was looking through this. The Scoobies. Ace of Scythes, 2 of Scythes, 3 of Scythes. Okay, so it doesn't have a very specific piece. All right, so this is... We mentioned this. The Three of Scythes, like I said, we talk about heartbreak and those kind of things, but this is... Welcome in, Shar. But this is that... wearing your heart on your sleeve. You mentioned that, and about giving people chances. You know, this means that it's happening. We're in a moment, we're in a time of where things are hurting you. Something is causing some distress, and it might be in the group, it might be somebody specific, but know that you don't want to ever stop wearing your heart on your sleeve. That's very important. And if this hurt continues, then it needs to be addressed, but it needs to be addressed with one of our next couple of cards that's coming in, because it's going to represent a person. But whenever Three of Swords comes up, I really like to talk about that the heartbreak that's included isn't necessarily the breakup of something. It's a difficult time where there are a few people involved that need to be addressed, and it can be successfully navigated. Just like anything else, before the Three of Swords is the Two of Swords, making decisions. And after the Three of Swords is the Four of Swords, structures are being built. So when you look at it that way, we can walk through the Three of Swords just as easily as any other card, but we have to make sure we don't change who we are at our base level, because if we do that, then we become either hardened or too soft, and you don't want to be either one or the other of yourself. The second card is the Page of Pentacles. Pentacles obviously is a part of the deck that I'm very excited about. I love the Pentacles. Page of Pentacles is representing a female, inexperienced person that's in your life. This may be the cause of, or the portent of, the issue that you're having, or the Three of Swords, Three of Scythes in here. But as I said, courts represent generally people for me. It doesn't have to be a male or a female person, but it's somebody that has male or female characteristics in your mind or whatever, or has either that type of a hot warm versus a hot cold energy. Page of Pentacles really does want to be ready to do things, wants to be active, but they don't know how. They're not educated how. They don't have the gumption or necessarily will to do it, but they're really excited about it. So it gets very confusing for the Page of any of the suits anyway. They can be confused, but then the Page of Pentacles, it's more so because we're supposed to be very stable and grounded, but this person is at a place where they can't do those things because they're up in the air. Too much is going on. They can't organize. They don't have the tools necessary to do what it is they think they are doing or want to do. So that person is available and is in your life somewhere, and it needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, the final card, the Tower, when you put it with these other cards, this is the representation of something that's going to cause a shift in that relationship or that addressment. So I think the real important thing for me on this, with these three cards, including the Tower, is that we have to consider that no matter how big or small the Tower is, it's going to come down. When the Tower card comes up, it says it brings with it the change of an idea, the change of a process, and it does not have to be a massive one. Now, granted, it's a major arcana card, so it usually represents something big, but it's big within the confines of the situation, which in this situation, again, we've got, like I said, the Three of Scythes, the Three of Swords, so a relationship change or alteration that needs to occur, and continuing to not change yourself for it. A Page of Pentacles that's going to be coming into your life, or that's in your life, because this is a current status card, like in the 3-card read. This is what's happening now. This Page of Pentacles is in there and needs guidance more than anything. And then the Tower, which means that is going to cause or ultimately result in a change in the ideas and thoughts that are behind whatever's driving you in this relationship with this person. So I would take a look at that. This is definitely something that's in play and needs to be addressed and addressed. It does not mean that that thing or process has to end. I would have expected death in that case, which means an end and a change, which is still a fine thing. But in this case with the tower, it feels like there will be an opportunity for a whole new relationship with that person that comes out of this, which could be a very positive thing. Or it may just be a relaxed, less engaged thing where it still makes sense. So thank you for letting me read you, Joy. I appreciate it. Manny, you are next. Mystic Manny, if you are still in the house. We're going to do a read. I don't think you had a question. Hopefully I didn't miss it. It's weird. Brad usually tracks the chat a little bit better for me. But Mr. Mystic Manny. Yes, actually, let me do that now. Hold on. I'm going to pull out of a different deck, Joy. Sorry, Mystic Manny. We're going to pause a second. I think there's a delay, and I apologize. The delay is pretty big. I don't know why, but we will pull a clarifying card on this. Yeah, we will clarify. So I'm going to use a different deck. This is a classic, true classic tarot. This is one of the decks that I actually will be using. Hold on, I gotta clear this real quick in my head so it doesn't. This is one of the decks I'll be using for the teaching course. Joy, let's pull a clarifying card for Joy. Shar, you absolutely can. We're not doing an after chat today, so we can continue tarot for a bit. Joy, let's get a clarifying card for you. We had the Three of Swords. We had the Page of Pentacles, and we had the Tower. So we need to clarify for Joy from the universe. Is there something else we need to add in here? All right, you'll recognize this deck. It's been in many, many different places. Strength. So the best clarification I can give you, Joy, is that this is going to require a new strength and a kindness in that strength. You can see this is that traditional strength where we are working alongside the lion. So uncomfortable and difficult requires strength. And it's going to require us to perhaps hold back a little bit of what we may normally say or do, but allow the relationship to still exist and continue. So strength absolutely makes sense here to me. When you add it with everything else, this is after the Tower. I mean, shoot, everybody has to be strong to go through that. And I think, again, there's an opportunity for a growth and a rebirth out of it, but focus in on the strength and the kindness and strength that we observe when we're addressing issues with other people. And I think that will hopefully give you a little bit of positive guidance there. And then just for the heck of it, let's pull the Ace of Swords, right? So it's a thought. This is a mindset. This is something that's going to pull out of the feels and into the brain. So this is, if you're intuitively feeling like it should be salvaged, it should be salvaged. If you're intuitively thinking it needs to be let go, it needs to be let go. The other cards still apply. All right. Thank you for letting me clarify that. I got to use a new deck. Manny, apologize for the delay there, my friend, but let me brain switch back over here to Mr. Manny General. Thank you for letting me do that. The delay in this is sometimes 5 seconds, sometimes 35 seconds. I don't know how or why. It is so all over the place, but it can get pretty excessive. But Manny, we'll do a general for you, my friend, and see what the universe has for you today. For Mystic Manny, all the way out in West Coast, our web, our concentration of spiders, if you get what I'm saying, our group has gotten smaller with you guys leaving, but our web has gotten so much bigger and so much stronger. So we're excited. Let's see. Ah. Can't shuffle. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, goodness gracious. This strength card is liking me today, but that's your third card. Two of Scythes. Two of Swords. All right, just talked about Two of Swords a little bit. So the Two of Swords, decisions. The one thing I always like to point out about swords is swords can cut, absolutely. But when you think about it, when they cut, they have two sides. They can cut something and harm it and cause it to die or be harmed and hurt. Or it can cut out diseased dead tissue as in a surgeon and actually help rebuild. Oftentimes we will abrade with a knife or a scalpel a wound so that it can bleed, so that it can connect back together. So the sword is a very, very multi-use tool, and in the twos, it is talking about making those cuts. Decisions have to be made, Mystic Manny, yes or no. There is no in between. There's something that's in your brain right now or recently, and it's like, oh, do I do this? Do I do that? Is it yes or no? What do I do? I got to figure this. Maybe I can do part of it. Sorry, it's yes or no. You have no option. Or no other option, I should say. It is a yes or a no. It's address or don't address. You know, go out, don't go out. So you've got a little bit of a two-edged thing here, and regardless of which one you decide, it's not going to be excessively fun because of this 10 of Swords that also came up. So this is a representation of whatever decision you make. It's not going to turn out the way you want it to. So it's going to matter because you're going to learn through it. But the ultimate end result is going to be pretty difficult. It's going to be pretty harsh. So whatever that thing is in your head and you're thinking about that process, yeah, do or do not, there is no try. But in the event, the good piece of this is that even if you do try to do, if you do this thing or you don't do this thing, it's not going to matter anyway, because ultimately it's going to be a moot point, I should say. So if this is like, you know, should I change offices? Doesn't matter. Whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. And ultimately there's going to be a change or an adjustment. But the third card is a strength card, which has come into play yet again. So truly, it's rolling over here. The strength of coming back again. I keep saying strength through kindness, but this is a representation of what's in your near future going to need to have some strength pulling into it. You're going to need to really think about how you're engaging people and how your strength is the tool that you're going to use to grow from this. So again, we've got a situation where you've got to make a decision to do whatever it is you need to do, right? It's not a big decision. It's not like an end of the life thing. It's not going to go well. It's going to suck. It's going to hurt. The 10 of Swords has always represented to me this gentleman or this person who has tried so hard to get somewhere and just doesn't make it, you know, and no matter how hard you try and you want it to be a certain way, it just doesn't make it. And you can't change that. And that's okay. You don't like it in the time that it happens, but it's going to result in a very renewed strength and positive motion for you. I can only speak in my own personal events, so this would speak to me from my job changing. I'm upset about it. It's lost. I don't like it. It is a tower situation. It is a 10 of Swords situation. We tried to get to the finish line to change the company's attitude and let us continue doing what we do. Well, they said no. Sorry, you missed it. But they gave us another opportunity for something different. And that's where your strength is going to come in. That strength is going to bring you this new opportunity, this new thing that's going to be a little bit different. A lot of times when this kind of a read comes up to me, when we look at swords and strength, because in the strength card there's also swords, right, in this particular deck, but it also represents that ability to wield a sword, and that's a strength, right? That's a skill. So this could represent getting wanting a new skill, but then it being sidelined or sidetracked because it wasn't the right skill for you to have for that particular thing, and then it becomes something else. Yes, it is. And Manny, that's exactly what I'm kind of seeing here. Commit no mistakes and still lose, or you decide to go or don't go, and either way you're not going to get there. And that's okay because you weren't supposed to be there. But having the strength follow that up, I think, is really cool. I did have a pop-out card for you, Jumper. Right when I was getting ready to reshuffle is the Sun. So this is definitely, to me, one of the most obviously positive cards in the deck. If you look at the ability to be positive, and it's truly the representation of where you are and the way things are going are on the right track. So regardless of what these things are, maybe you're worried about it way more than it needs to be, or maybe it's going to come up soon that you're worried about it, because that 10 is really in the current time, which is kind of like the last or the next 3 months. It is all going to absolutely work out. You're not going to have a problem. This is definitely, you have great positive continuing to come for you. So don't let those things get you down. Learn the strength, use the strength, let the 10 of swords come and go, and move right on to your next journey, man, because you're in it. So thanks for letting me read you, Manny. I'm going to hop on over to Miss Ziggy Starcrush. Ziggy Dreadful. Oh my god, what is it now in here? I'm reverting back, Ziggy. What's happening? Dreadful. Okay. I can't believe I remember that. It's still stuck in my brain. My bread. I'm extremely hyper today because I'm telling you, spending the time eating better, taking better care of yourself, and my blood sugar is getting back to normal. I have energy that I have not had in a very, very long time. But Ziggy, let's give you a read. Let's get going. We got 2 more after Ziggy. I know. Look, I came right up into old habits, right? You thought you had left that name behind. I love it. Leave it to a Virgo to never let the past be the past. I'm just saying. We are very good about bringing that back up. That's been a struggle for my whole life. Ziggy. I didn't see a question. I'm assuming a general, but if you have a question, you can pop that in there while I'm shuffling if you want. All right. Whoop. Ziggy. Oh, all right, Ziggy. This is good. We're going to start, Ziggy, with Temperance. Temperance is a beautiful card to me. This is Joy Summers. Like a warm hug from a good mom, Temperance invokes comfort in the pursuit of balanced living. So temperance to me is more than just balance. The scales are more about balance and justice, more about finding justice. Temperance is a active achieving balance. Sometimes it's 60-40, sometimes it's 30-70, sometimes it's 50-50, but it's always 100%. So temperance comes up when the universe is trying to tell you to do something a little bit more in balance, search out balance. It's not saying you're not balanced. It's just saying this is a good time for you to start searching out a new balance, or trying to search out a new way of doing things, that comes up. So it's really important to me that it's an active part of it, though. It's a seeking out of kind of just, let's get through this. Let's learn something new or do some new balancing, something maybe you've been working on and you're getting better at. Maybe it's time to go all the way. Like for me, it was not drinking soda anymore. That would have been what was on my mind about temperance and balancing my blood sugars, right? For you, it may not be health related. It probably isn't health related based on these other cards that I'm about to share. This is definitely something that you're working on, and you've been working on a long time. Bring in some new balance to it. Let it kind of hold you and kind of search for that new active balance. You might need to give a little more than you have been in this particular area, but it'll be okay. Now, the Three of Stakes, or Wands, however you should see it. This tends to come up for me whenever there's something at work that's kind of bugging you or kind of outsourced. So I'm wondering if this temperance isn't about work. Does it feel a little out of balance? Maybe there is a situation that maybe wasn't handled exactly the way it should have been. Doesn't mean you did it, but you were a part of it or involved in it, and maybe we need to revisit that. This Three of Stakes is about revisiting. It's about going back. It's about similar to in the Pentacles. It's almost like a survey situation. threes often represent groups too, but it's really kind of looking back at the pieces and all the things that have kind of come around for you. So I would take a look at that. Take a look and see if it's work related, because I kind of feel like it might be. I kind of feel like it's not, again, not a huge thing, just an incident or something happened or somebody pissed you off, or maybe you are a mediator for two other people that were pissed off. I don't know. But something in there you need to do an after action report, I could say, and look at something that was recently done and say, wait a minute, this is what we could have done differently, and let's try that. And I think that too a little bit because of this Knight of Pentacles, right? So again, before when we talked about the page, we're talking about that almost the fool of the court, the first person stepping in, excited, I want to know, I want to get learning. The knight now has the learning behind him and is ready to act, but hasn't yet experienced the things like a queen and king would have. So the knight is still in that position of, I have the knowledge, but I need to take it to the next level. So this is an improvement. This sometimes, if this is work related, could represent a certification that you're probably looking for, or maybe looking for, to kind of support your experience of some sort. But regardless, I definitely get something career or work related out of this. I don't know why. Probably the stakes. But take a look at that. In other terms, temperance is really important when it comes to our self-balance. So it could also mean that in your personal life or your health life, you are out of balance again on something, and it's causing difficulties or something that's making you less productive or less engaged at work. And by work, I do mean like a career type work, but it can also mean like a consistent hobby that you really like doing is also faltering and not doing what you would like it to do. So you're having trouble kind of getting that back up. But all in all, the Knight of Pentacles does kind of support that end result of, needing to do something new or spice something up a little bit. Career, it could be a certification. If it's a hobby, it's a new way to do something, like a new way to wire wrap something, or a new way to draw, a new technique. But something in there is trying to bring you into something new that's going to give you some process there. I hope that gives you some good information, Miss Ziggy. I think it is Buffy's mom. Temperance is, I forgot the name already. But yeah, I think that was Buffy's mom. Tabby. We got two more. Tabby and Shar. So Tabby, you're up next. Either one of you, if you have a specific question, please let me know. And Tabby, if you're still in, just throw in a hello. So let me know you're still there. I know you have some heavy stuff going on and you want a heads up for direction. So this is a request for direction. Where do I need to head? Where do I need to go? Oh, well, maybe that wasn't her mom. I am so confused. All right, so Tabby, let's get you some information. Let's give you some direction. Tabby. All right. Direction we shall have. All right, so two of your cards are chalices or water cards, and one of them is stakes, which is our fire card. So water and fire, they don't like each other. Fire vaporizes water. Water drowns fire out. So whatever this heavy situation is, it's not fun. It's truly heavy. Now, the one good thing is, and I'm going to show you the cards in a minute, don't worry, but we're running from a 4 to a 6. So those are actually, I would say, decent ways to go. But your wand card is a Knight of Stakes, so somebody's trying to sabotage something for you. Let me see, in the 4 of Chalices, I want to know, who is that, if it tells me. I don't know who that represents because it doesn't say in here. Nope, doesn't have the name. So maybe it's just the majors that it's saying in the courts. But anyway, 4 of Chalices. This represents kind of a boxed-in feeling of stagnant emotion. Things are stuck for you a little bit. So what's kind of bothering you right now that's causing part of this heavy situation is a boxed-in feeling where you're almost, I don't want to say a scared animal, but you're boxed in, right? You're crated. You can't go out or do what you need to do to feel right by yourself. I don't know if somebody's doing that to you. I think so. I think that there's a male in this Knight of Stakes that's making you feel that way. Now, again, it doesn't have to be a male person. It's usually a male entity or energy, I should say, a person with the male energy, an aggressive, stabby kind of person. But it could be. That's true. So, really, if you see here, this chalice, like you've got the 3 chalices down and you've got this 4th chalice coming, and almost an obstinate person that's like under the tree, but they're not reaching out for the cup. It's almost as if they're being force fed or maybe forced to, like, here, you need to drink this. And they're like, I'm not drinking it. I'm not doing it. It's because you're feeling stuck. You're feeling paused. Like things aren't allowing you to get out where you need to go. Like I said, the Knight of Stakes is your next card, which is a little concerning. With this read in particular, with this one in the chalices, the Knight of Stakes is representing a person that's kind of holding you back or making you feel cornered. It's not going to end well if you allow that person to continue making you feel cornered. And as you can see, we've got the stake right there, right? We can do a lot of damage with that stake, or we can actually protect somebody with that stake. Buffy is going to use that stake to get a bad out of your way. But also, we have Angel, right? So if Angel is a good vampire, the stake could kill the good too. So somebody is wielding that weapon against you, of whether it's a mindset, whether it's physical. It's probably not physical. I'm thinking this is more of a behavioral thing, but somebody's keeping you locked up in a cage to a degree where you can't be authentically you. The only other positive thing on this is the 6 of Chalices, stating that you're on the right progressive path. You're going forward. It will get better for you. Your emotions will come to a better place. So direction is positive. You're going from lows to highs, but you have to escape whatever this thing is that's holding you back, or person or energy that's holding you back, because it's right there. It's identifiable. It knows what it's doing. It's a knight. It's educated. It's there, and it's in that control. You're in the middle of it, though. We look at 4 and 6 as your cards here, and we're asking for direction. It's going to be a little rough, because that 4 and 6 is saying, look, I'm still in the middle of this part of the cycle. So you haven't gotten to the part where you're starting to feel relief or the ability to kind of breathe. So I really would suggest that you take a little bit of time, figure out what it is or who it is that's causing this to you. It's in your life now, and you've got to figure out how to either kick their asses away, get them out of your life, or pull something in that's more positive that can kind of bring you out of this stuck feeling that you have. So it definitely is a balding head, but I can't tell who it is. Probably. The imagery is almost good enough for me to tell who everybody else is, or everybody is, but not all the way. Tabby, I hope that gives you some guidance. Kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of the direction to head. The one thing, again, I can say is the direction, you're going in the right direction, but in order to progress any further, you've got to find out, identify, and then slice out what this holdback is, or find a way to open your cage with that person. You are welcome. Last but never least, Shar. Again, I think you said a general as well, if I'm not mistaken. Or if you even said, I'm not sure, but let me know if you have a specific question. Otherwise, we'll just do a quick general, not a quick, but a general, and then we'll get rolling. All right, I gotta turn my music off again because it keeps going to the next thing, and it is not allowed. I'll get in trouble. So this is my first time ever using this deck. I like it. It's actually really cute. I don't think I would do very well if it was like my first deck, because the way that the imagery is, it's definitely vampire-y and a little like image specific. Obviously, it's Buffy. Great, easy to read deck though if you've had a little bit of experience. How much longer will your situation last? Gotcha. So we need a time frame. So we need to look at times. All right. Like I said, if anybody's interested in learning tarot, I am working on doing a tarot course. The tarot course is going to be for a small fee. The fee will go to support our local UCFM Cups chapter. Even if I do it remotely, I may do it in a situation or some, kind of like how I'm doing right now. It is a basics class, and it is not designed to help you know what every card means, but how to kind of read intuitively into the cards and a little bit about the traditional meanings in history. I am almost done with it. Hopefully the class details will be done in the next couple of weeks. And we'll be kind of going through that with you guys if you want to learn. That'll obviously be not part of this podcast thing. It'll be a completely separate entity. But anywho, Char, let me get my brain trained back on you so that I can get you some time frames on your situation here. So Char needs to know about time. She needs to know how long the situation she is thinking about right now will last. How long will it last? How long? Let's see. 8 of chalices, 3 of stakes, and the hermit reversed. Okay, got a little bit of time left. So, being that our question is how much time, like if we just say that and start with that. Hold on, I gotta make this centered. It bothers me if it's not. The 3 of chalice, unfortunately, says you're still at the beginning of this situation. So 3 is an emotional feeling. You know this. You didn't have to ask, but you feel like this has gone on for too long already, and it's going to continue. So whether it's a positive or negative thing, I can't necessarily see right now. I am getting a little bit of a negative, oppressive feeling with this, especially with the inverted hermit, which I'll show in a few minutes. It's your third card. I'm sorry, I said 3, I meant 8. The 8 of chalices is really talking about how we are in the beginning of this situation, and there's a pause coming. So the pause is, what do I need to do next to make sure that I get to the end of this? How do I get to the end piece of this, or the actual fulfillment of whatever it is that needs to happen in order for me to move on? So when we look at chalices, we're in that emotional aspect of things. We're in that water, so it's very flowy. So you can kind of feel like you're getting to the end, and then it gets pulled back. You feel like things are progressing, and then they're not. In this particular event, the 8 of chalices is a stop time where you have to reevaluate what's going on so far and what's happened, and what do I have to do differently in order to make a change so that I can reach the 9 and the 10 of the chalices, right? Because the goal in a cycle is to get to the end so that you have grown and you can restart the cycle in something new. So this is causing you quite a bit of heartache and stress, but again, 8 of chalices, it's really saying that you're still working through this process. You haven't made it there, but there's going to have to be a change in order for you to make it. The 3 of stakes talks about what that change is. Again, this is a looking back glass. So again, we have a card that says, look back. Look at where you've been. Look at the things that are happening, because you can't progress until you've learned something from those things. So there is a lesson here to be had. And the hermit inverted is kind of sharing that very clearly, that you have a lesson to learn and you know what the lesson is, but for some reason you're refusing to accept that message. And that has to happen before your current situation is going to end. So when you kind of take all 3 together, where we are at a pause place, this could be over relatively soon, but you have to make an adjustment in what you're doing to get there. You have to have a new perspective. The 8 of chalices and the 8 of pentacles, for me both, are these cards that say, I have put in, or the situation has existed, or the energy has gone on for so long. Not saying like so long, just for a defined period. Now is the moment where I have to decide, am I done with all this and I'm going to get rid of it? So that's the pentacles. I'm done with it. I can't go any further. All right, move on. Or is it a masterwork, the 8 of pentacles again, that I am happy with? Or do I need to change something? Maybe the eye didn't come out right when I was drawing and I need to redo that. But either way, it is a pause and a resurfacing of what do I need to do differently to move forward. 3 of stakes is truly a look back and see, okay, what is happening and why is it happening, and how do I make it happen differently, because I've got to figure out what's new or what's changed. And then your reversed hermit is often a refusal to look inside and see, well, maybe we need to change something very specifically to get this situation to stop. So from a time perspective, I don't think you're going to be in this situation for too much longer if you listen to your intuition telling you to do something different, or find something different, or take a scary step to do something different. I think it may go on longer than you want, though, because you're having a little bit of a desire to push off or refuse to kind of go internally. Maybe it's too hard right now or it's too scary, and that's okay. But just know that your situation is going to take longer to resolve until you've taken that introspection, that look in, that decision to learn something and try something a little bit different in order to create a different outcome. So I hope that gives you some insight on your time frame there. Because, let me see, is that Willow? That was definitely Willow, yes. These cards are neat. I like them. But there's definitely some things you have to do to make it change. The situation's not going to change on its own. You know, you're not waiting it out on this one. If you think you're waiting it out, Shar, you're not going to wait it out. It's going to outlive you. You have to make the situation end, basically. So, all right. Well, guys, I really appreciate everybody coming in today. I really enjoyed the tarot. I'm glad I got to do more than just one card. Of course, with Rook here, it would be too much, but it's a good little opportunity. Makes up for some of the Saturdays that I've missed. I really hope you guys have a wonderful day. I've got to do his favorite part, because if I don't, he'll be mad. He'll be upset with me. I need to adjust it because we rotate it, right? Really enjoyed the tarot. Okay, I just turned the volume all the way down. We rotate our end stage here, our ending, where we kind of talk about everybody, and I haven't rotated it recently. I need to do that. So as soon as I can, we will do that. I'm just waiting for this to kind of come up here so that I can see the information to read out to you guys, because it is too small on my screen. And I'm too far away from it to get it, but I won't do it as good either, so don't judge me. Nobody does it like Rook does it. We do want you to please check out all of these awesome creators, witches, and wonderfuls. We have From the Cauldron Witch on Instagram and From the Cauldron Witch Tarot on Instagram. She usually goes live today. I forget the time. Sorry, I can't help you there. But From the Cauldron Witch Tarot on Instagram, if you want to hear more tarot or get another tarot read from somebody who's amazing. She is one of the few people that actually I have had reads from, and oh my God, is she she's always on point for me. She called out my job change when I was obstinate and didn't want to believe it. Paranormal Witch on YouTube, also Lady Rose 819 on IG. Thank you so much for being a wonderful, wonderful person and participant. And please check out our Instagram. Lots of great information. We have Unexplained Possibilities on YouTube and Instagram, who is also the resident author. You should try to check out his book. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Oh my God, I just had it too. Good book, I've read it. The wonderful Ziggy Dreadful on Twitch and on YouTube. Ziggy does stream video games once in a while, I think. She still does. But probably when I'm at work. It's always boo. But wonderful and amazing information. Wonderful, amazing content, I should say. We have Mavethel on Twitch. Does some video game streaming and some other things on there. Sometimes you will catch him on the Discord under the Demon's Den for the Malice Experience. Gentleman has a wonderful brain and is great to talk to if you want to learn new things. We have Adius Dade on Twitch and Instagram, Mr. Malice on YouTube, Adius Dade on Facebook and Twitter. That is all the same person. That is the gentleman who does the Malice Experience podcast with yours truly, Salann, every Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we are, of course, the Two Pondering Pagans on YouTube and Facebook, Two Pondering Pagans on Twitter, Rook Tempest, Rook on YouTube, and Rook_Tempest on Instagram, and then myself, Mystic Salann, on Twitch, and Salann Tawin on YouTube. However, all of our content is under Two Pondering Pagans. We have had quite a few wonderful, amazing visitors today. We're going to start trying to keep track of them a little bit more. Mystic Manny, I know you put out a recent video that also highlighted Dragon Dancer. Amazing videos. We love it. I like the content and the way you did that was really awesome. So you guys should check that out. I'm not sure if you're planning on doing more, but if you are, let's get that going too. And then thank you to everybody who joined. Paranormal Witch, Joy, Manny, Mystic Manny, Ziggy Dreadful, Ziggy Wonderful, actually. Tabby and Shar, Dragon Dancer. I think I got everybody who's still here. Joy. Thank you again so much. It's been a wonderful day. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and have a wonderful week next week. And we will See you next time.